All right. Welcome, everybody. How y'all
Let's go.
doing? All right. I like the enthusiasm because right after lunch is sometimes rough. So, we are here today to talk about supported decision making. So, how many of you are like brand new to this topic? Really don't know much about it. All right. And how many of you will have maybe just trying to get more information, but you've gotten a little bit familiar? Oh, half and half. All right.
Maybe go,
So my name
Jenny.
is Jenny Newgart. I am with the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. And one of the projects we have that I'll talk about in just a second is around supported decision making. But first, I'd like to introduce you to two of our panel members. We will have a third eventually on Zoom. But if you just want maybe say your name.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Will. I'm from Oregon, Wisconsin. I I love to be here. I mean, I love it. Yeah, he's got his own mic.
All right, Jordan.
Well, thank you guys for coming to this wonderful session, and I hope you guys learn a lot. But my name is Jordan, and I'm from Auburndale.
Thank you. So what we're going to do is kind of like two parts. We'll give you an overview of what supported decision making is, and a little bit of information about how it works. And then we're going to have a panel because both of these gentlemen use supported decision making, and then the person joining us on Zoom as well. So they're going to talk from a personal experience about what it's like and yeah. Oh, and Junior's on. Okay. Hey, Junior, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you.
There you are. Do you want to just say your name and where you're from?
Okay. My name is Junior Sotelo. I'm from West Dallas, Wisconsin. I'm a sophomore at UW Milwaukee, majoring in journalism. When I graduate, I hope to be a sportscaster. One of my favorite things to do is to attend sporting events, specifically Milwaukee Brewers and Milwaukee Bucks games. I'm a youth ambassador for Youth Voice Youth Choice Project on supported decision making. I use supported decision making because I want to learn how to make my own decisions instead of having my parents do it for me. With this agreement, I have the opportunity to keep practicing making my own decisions with the support of my parents, which will help me be independent and responsible in the future.
Excellent. Thank you, George or Junior. Too many J's. Is there a way that we can see them, or we could probably do that later when we get to the panel part? Oh, okay. Maybe we will wait till we get to the questions, though. Okay. So how this came to be that we get to work with some wonderful young adults sharing their story is a national project called the Center for Youth Voice, Youth Choice. It's a 5-year project that started with 3 states. You can see 3 different colors there. Year 1 included Wisconsin, Georgia, and Vermont. The next year they added 5 states, and the year after that they added 3 more states. So there's now 11 states that usually like quarterly we get together, we talk about what kinds of things are we doing in our states to let people know about supported decision making. And the whole point of it was to have the youth voice talking about, personally, how does guardianship affect me, having my rights taken away? And for students using supported decision making, what does that look like? So it's really to raise awareness that there are alternatives to guardianship. There are times that guardianship is an appropriate choice, but there's lots of times that there are other alternatives and people just don't know about it. So that's what we're here to do, is let you know. So what is supported decision making? It's a set of strategies that help individuals with disabilities have more control over their life and their future. It involves family and friends working together with individuals to support them in making complex decisions. So can anybody summarize that? Right? This is what we do.
If I want to pay a new cell phone, I have to present to mom and dad how much it's gonna be, and then they help me make the decision of if I can afford it or not.
Yes, that's a great example. And really, that's kind of, this is the plain language version. It's the way we all make our decisions. We don't have to overcomplicate it. That's what supported decision-making is. You have a big decision to make. We all talk to our family, our friends. Maybe we talk to several people to get their input, because they might help you think of things that you hadn't, pros and cons. But at the end of the day, it's your decision. And that's what this is. You get support, and then they end up, the person themselves makes the decision. So that's really what it's all about. We do have a law in Wisconsin, since I think it was about 2018. We have a supported decision-making law that makes it a legal option. So the documents that we'll talk about of the supported decision-making guide that says who's going to help you and what are they going to help you with, you can take that to a doctor's office, your dentist's office, other entities like your bank, and it is a legal document. All right, and then, so why did we go this route of supported decision? Oh, where'd it go? Oh, okay. So there's a lot of things about guardianship that we think people sort of misunderstand, or isn't quite accurate. So having to go in front of a judge and be declared incompetent is something that family members need to think about. That is hard on a person with a disability, to hear that they are considered incompetent of making their own decisions. And a lot of people that we've worked with have talked about how hard that is on them. We have another person that works with us who's not here right now, but Ashley, she had guardianship before supported decision-making was a thing. So it was just before, it came after her time, but she talks a lot about how that felt to be in court and hear that, the things she can't do. So it takes away some dignity from the person, obviously their freedom of choice. They're ultimately not able to make the decisions themselves. People will often deal with the guardian instead of the person. So really, these principles of supported decision-making should be included in guardianship. They should have input, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. It just goes to the guardian. What does your guardian say? It's expensive. Sometimes people find places that do it for free or reduced cost, but it can be expensive to hire a lawyer and go through this formal court process to have guardianships. And it's time consuming. There's hearings, there's evaluations that the family often has to pay for, like through a doctor or psychiatrist. And then a big one is we have alternatives to guardianship, where instead of full guardianship, a family could say, well, I still want my son or daughter to be able to vote, marry, have a fishing license, whatever it is, there's like a list. However, what people don't understand is you may say that to a judge, and the judge may say, okay, but there's a lot of judges out there that are all or nothing. You're either competent or you're not. It's all your rights or none. So the problem with that is if you don't know what kind of judge you have, you could be out of luck. So you might have every intention of letting them keep a bunch of rights, but it won't actually happen because ultimately it is the judge that makes that decision. It is very difficult to change or to end. And I've heard lots of people over the years say, well, they told me we could get out of it real easy. That's not the case. Again, we're talking attorneys, fees, time. Having a judge reverse a decision is a very difficult thing to get them to do. I think most people kind of wrap their heads around that with the Britney Spears case. They call it conservatorship. It's the same thing as guardianship in our state, and how hard she worked to get it back with all her, frankly, power and money and, all those things behind her. So imagine a person with a disability without a lot of resources. Changing that it's not impossible, but it is hard. We have seen that attorneums and guardian ad litems that are part of the process of somebody becoming a guardian don't have a lot of training. So they don't always understand disability real well. They don't always understand the different rights that you can keep so that they can advocate on your behalf to keep those rights. And the biggest thing is, usually if somebody says they want guardianship, I will ask them why. What is it that you're worried about, so to speak? Sometimes it's money. A lot of times we're talking about relationships. They're concerned about relationships or intimate relationships. Maybe them getting in trouble with the law, like if they don't 100% understand right or wrong. There's certainly lots of people with disabilities who end up arrested for things. But it is not, a guardianship paper is not a get out of jail free card. It cannot stop a human being from having relationships with other people. So it just simply doesn't do what you think it's going to do. And we'll talk about the other options you can do to help with things like finances and, have some safeguards around that without taking the rights. If you had notes on this, I think I have notes on there, you can just let me know. I think I was blowing through some. Okay. So what we do know from a lot of data actually of what keeps people safe, it's having a caring, involved family. So some of the things that you're worried about, if the family is involved and you have a good relationship and you are able to talk things out with one another, that's going to be more successful than a piece of paper. Community networks, a lot of family members are afraid to have their child go out in the community because they might be taken advantage of. It's actually kind of the opposite. What we've learned is when the community knows a person with a disability, they start looking out for the person. If they're showing up every Tuesday morning for coffee at 10 a.m. and all of a sudden they're not there, people will start asking. There's a guy in our neighborhood, I've been thinking about him for like 2 months. I'm like, he walks every day. I haven't seen him in 2 months. And he finally popped back up again, like, okay, I don't know who he is, but I was like, is he okay? So caring community members it's like another set of eyes. And then opportunities to practice some of those decision-making skills. We'll talk about that, how our 3 panel members learn those skills. It's not just something that necessarily happens on its own. It's something that can start from a very young age. And even at preschool, like what do you want to wear today? What do you want to have for lunch? And then working up to more complex decisions that need to be made. So we will talk about how you can work with a person with a disability to make good decisions. Nothing, okay. So having choices is very important. We hear that a lot from youth, that I think it's underestimated, that it's not that big a deal, they don't really care, but it really is having that sense of control over their life, which contributes to their self-esteem and their confidence. You feel better having more control of your life. And if that person makes a choice to do something, there's responsibility connected to those actions too. And it's sort of connected again to that fear of what if they make the wrong decision? Well, maybe they will, but I've made a lot of wrong decisions. We've all made a lot of wrong decisions, and we've learned a lot and don't do them again. So why shouldn't a person with a disability have that same right? Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that at age 14 you can go to your own IEP. When I was a youth, I didn't know.
Oh.
And since kindergarten, I'm in assisted living zone.
Oh, I love that. So the comment was that a lot of people don't know that starting at age 14, well, any age really, at age 14, you have to be invited, specifically invited to go to your IEP. And we strongly encourage youth to do that. And most youth do now. When we first started telling people about that, like maybe one person raised their hand if their child went to their IEP. And now almost everybody raises their hands. And so we're more focused on like, do they lead their IEP or part of their IEP? Do they contribute? So we've made strides with that. But yeah, it's very important to have a seat at the table at the IEP, which will help you make decisions in an adult level. Thank you for that. Did you have something on that? The next one, okay. And then, so that's kind of like the philosophy, that's the why behind it, some major differences. So there is actually an agreement that is made for supported decision-making. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. That's okay. So there is a supported decision-making agreement that specifies who's going to help me, who's my supporter, what are they going to help me with. It's not a blanket, you know, anything they need help with. It's, I need help with my checking account, or I want somebody there at my doctor's appointments. You know, what very specific things that the person might need help with. So they're meant to be flexible. You can end them at any time. You can have more than one. You can change them. And because really you're writing it all down, everybody agrees, you get it notarized, and then you can turn it into the proper place depending on what it's about, like the doctor or the bank or something.
That was basically what I was gonna say. It's okay. Well, sorry. I'm trying to think what I gotta say because you. She did steal my words. Should I go to the next? Just read it, okay? You can have help in with anyone taking of taking your rights away. So like she said, kind of like no one can take your rights away, and I know I'm trying to think. So
Do you remember your agreement, like writing it out and having it notarized?
yes, I remember writing it out back a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
And did you take it to like a bank to get it notarized?
yes, I took it to a bank to get it notarized.
Okay. So not really a big deal?
No, not really a big deal.
If I can add something to this, so I'm gonna tell my full supported decision making story in a little bit here, but this is kind of giving you a glimpse into my story. I actually had to go to an attorney's office to get it notarized, and mine was the untraditional route, because I kind of learned about supported decision making at the last possible moment. So, and I will explain on it more when we get into the questions. Just be prepared for the long-winded story because I'm not cutting out any part of it. So today.
Yes.
What else? I think we covered that.
All right, we've covered it. Do you have stuff on the next page? I'll let you go first. Okay, but the one after. Okay. All right, so Jordan does have an amazing story. You would think that we wrote it for this presentation, but we did not. It's a true story. Anyway, so you have the agreement, you get it notarized, it's legal, but what are some of the things the agreement does not do? It does not restrict their rights in any way to make their own decisions. So again, they will talk to people, they will get advice, but at the end of the day, it's their decision. And it doesn't give supporters any new rights. It's naming the person who's going to help with things. It doesn't mean that the supporter can now speak on behalf of somebody with a disability or sign legal documents on behalf of the person with a disability. It's just that they're there to help them look up information, understand their options, and help them make the best decision they can. And if they don't agree with the decision the person makes, that's too bad. It's still the person's decision. All right, so the next one.
All right. I have agreements with people that I know, like my whole life to help me with my agreement, with my decisions. The people that I have decisions is my cousin Trina. I don't. It's supposed to. Oh, it's supposed to say Bill. My mom, and then my sister, and then my uncle Bill helps me with DVR, which is one of the director work stuff. IRS is, oh, I forgot what IRS was. I don't know how to explain it. Okay. In planning for work and past case managers, teachers, and families. So that's like a lot about my support, like my support people that I would have.
So, and if you notice, it's not all mom and dad. And that's really what we want. It shouldn't all have to be mom and dad. I kind of share the story that worked for me, kind of making it click, that Jonathan Martinez said, who's sort of like the father of supported decision making, is, if there's something wrong with your car, and you need to take it to a mechanic, I don't know anything about cars. I have no idea if they tell me it's $100 or $2,000, what's right. So I would go to my brother-in-law. He knows everything about cars. If there's something complicated with finances or home loans or something, my sister is a vice president of a bank. I would go to her about that. Politics kinds of things. My other sister is immersed in all kinds of politics and helps me figure those things out. So, and aunts and uncles and friends. So try to think outside the box, try to push that boundary a little bit so it doesn't all fall on mom and dad.
On my supportive agreement, I have my mom, my cousin Josh, my dad, and my aunt Michelle for my supportive agreement listed.
Perfect. I didn't know you had a sport decision-making agreement. Thanks for sharing that.
And Jenny, before we move on here, even though you said you want to expand outside the box, but like I said, my supported my supported decision making agreement kind of happened at the last moment, so I kind of did my mom and my dad, but I kind of rely on my coworkers, like people that are not my supporters, but they can still be my friends and family that I rely on, but they don't have to be listed down in your agreement. Whether you trust them or not is the real crucial factor.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, you were in a pinch in your case, and you're also very young. So that is one of the advantages of these agreements, is that it can change. So maybe in a year or two, other things come up. There's different people in your life, and you name those people. And it's in supported decision making. It's not meant to be like a permanent thing necessarily, like guardianship usually is. It could be a point in time, like maybe somebody is helping you with your finances and you put down for a year. And maybe at the end of that year, you've gotten pretty good at making your own financial decisions and you don't feel the need to keep going with that agreement. Some people might always need support with that kind of thing. That's fine too. But hopefully they're picking up skills, they're learning as they grow. We always like to remind people that your brain isn't even fully formed until you're 25. So as far as making mistakes, we can all point at mistakes we've made. Even adults make mistakes, yes.
Mistake, didn't anybody forgetting to pay my phone bill, and my phone got shut off, and I had to call you and pay my phone bill the day late.
Yes, it happens to all of us. I forgot a credit card bill one time. Like, yeah, we've all been in a little hot water. Yeah.
Also, it's hard to like know everything, so you might, you will not be able to know everything, or always make the right decision, so, you can try your best, like, get all the information you can.
Yeah, so he said it's hard to know everything you need to know. That's not how it works for anybody else. So 5 years down the road, something might come up that you've never experienced before. The first time you buy a car, or if you have to sign a lease, those aren't things people do every day. And so we have to kind of learn that and just have support with it. So what does that supporter do? What is the role of the supporter if it's they can't make decisions for you? There's several different things that we want that person to do. But I'm going to let Will tell you first.
Okay. t- um, okay. Talk it with me. Help me understand a good place. What I am thinking about doing. What risks they might be if I do it. I know. It's just. It's funny. This is the same for everyone. So I was gonna say, right now I am looking to buy a couch. My supporters are helping me to find one that is what I wanted and what makes sense for like what I want, like specifically. If I like it, if I don't, budget.
The hardest part, the budget. So the supporter is really trying to help you understand what the decision is. What are all the options? Because we don't always think of all the options for our own problems, right? That's why it's helpful to talk to people. So spelling that out, what are all your options, and then making them understandable. Because we're all about plain language. You probably hear that all the time now, but very few things are in plain language yet. So that person can help sort of.
Yourself, but it's not a plain language.
No, there's nothing plain language about buying a cell phone. But your supporter helps break down some of those big concepts or those big words to make them understandable to you. And hopefully, the idea is that supporter well enough that they know how to explain things well to you so you can make a truly informed decision. They might have to help you research things. Some people are really good at that, and some people wouldn't have a clue how to start Googling something and figuring out how to flip through all of that information that's out there now and figure out what's good and not. So researching it is something they can do, understanding it. And then once the person has made the decision, another big role is that they, if needed, can help that person communicate what their decision was. Let people know. Sometimes it's hard to be clear about that. But again, waiting until they ask you for that kind of support.
And Jenny, before you did a very good job explaining this slide, but I'm just going to provide an example for me. About a year and a half ago now, I had two major surgeries. So my parents, it's kind of going back into my story, but my parents are my supporter for healthcare and finances. So I communicated what I wanted to the doctor, but when I was asleep, if the doctor had any questions or anything, I told them what I wanted to say to the doctor, and they communicated that on my behalf, and it's kind of work. They, like Jenny said, they can kind of be your supporters with communicating it, but you ultimately, on the guardianship, you don't have any say. So it's very important that the person with the disability, or even elderly folks, or anybody who uses supported decision making, understands that they're the ones making the final decision.
Yeah, that was a great example. So for a nice visual, I like this visual because as you can see on the bottom, the left side, the green, is the least restrictive, and then it goes all the way down to the most limiting of options. So a lot of times you can just sign a simple release form with the agency. Say you've signed up with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, that's the group Will mentioned, they help people with disabilities find jobs. They would have a release form available that you could sign that says you can talk to my parents if it's okay with the person. There's lots of options for that. Then the supported decision-making agreement would be the next option. And then you could look at a lot of people with disabilities get Social Security benefits, and a lot of them name a rep payee to help them manage those finances if they need it. And then it goes all the way up to, there's also the power of attorney or a medical proxy, something that all of us need to think about whether you have a disability or not. Like what if I am incapacitated, I can't speak for myself in a medical situation. It's nice to have that paperwork done if you should find yourself in that position, so you don't have the wrong people making decisions about your medical decisions about you. A lot of times, like if you are going in for a surgery, they will talk to you about that. So I have one on file from a surgery I had a while ago, and I thought it was really hard. Like, I have no idea how to do this, but there was a person from the hospital that came and walked through everything so I could understand it. So don't feel like you have to go out and do that on your own. You would get assistance with that. But really, every single person, disability or not, should have some sort of power of attorney for medical issues. And then there sometimes is there for financial issues as well. But again, that's much more restrictive than just helping somebody with their finances through a supported decision-making agreement or the rep payee. And then the most limiting would be a limited or a full guardianship. So it's a bit of a spectrum. The other thing to understand is you can use lots of these together. You could have a release form, an agreement, a rep payee, and a power of attorney. That is possible to use all these. You don't pick just one of these. You need to think about what makes sense for the decisions that the person needs help with. Any questions about that? All right.
And like Jenny said, the release of information, because I have a release of information from my bank and the release of information at my dentist, and I also work in a healthcare facility, so they know who I am. But I also have one there, but it also can be changed at any point in time. If you have a different supporter that you want to be switched, it can be switched at any point in time.
Yes, good point. So if there aren't any a couple, yeah. Oh, that's a great question. So when should this process start? And it's one of the questions we're going to ask them what their opinion is.
Yep.
But it really needs to start in school. Like as soon as, if somebody mentions guardianship in a school, which is typically what's get brought up, it's getting a little better with also being presented supported decision-making. But it's definitely hit or miss depending on where your school is. So the second somebody would bring that up, if they don't mention it to you, you should say, well, I heard about supported decision-making and we want to think about that as well. Every teacher should know about that. A high school special ed teacher should know about supported decision-making by now, but you might have to advocate for it, unfortunately.
Yes, Jenny, because me and the other youth ambassador that's not here, we did a like a thing with DPI, so every teacher and every professional should know about it, but that's why we're doing these conferences every single year to educate, because there's new information and new people that we still have to keep pushing, because I work in a healthcare facility, like I said, but I see patients, and like I had a coworker the other day and said, I didn't know you did that work, because she has a younger daughter that has supported decision making, and she's seen my videos, and she's like, wow, I thought I told her, but I guess she might have forgot or something. But it's so important to bring it up as soon as you can, even in middle school. And I will let Will say what he needs to say, but it's always is the better option than my junior year. It was brought up briefly, and then I learned about this 4 years ago when I came to this very conference. It was during COVID back then, so it was over online, and I attended a session just like you guys are doing right now, and that's how I learned about supported decision making. And literally the next day, I had my court hearing for guardianship, so it couldn't have worked out any better.
Yeah, over here.
So I was talking to the Creative Solutions booth earlier today, and supportive decision-making is part of life skills. So if you have child long-term labor for a youth, like I have my 10-year-old, or you have family steps for your over 21-year-old who's like an Iris or Inclusa or something of that nature, all of that falls under life skills. You can get supportive life skills from like Center of Independent Living or like half a dozen other booths out there who come into your home and teach your young one life skills. The supportive decision making is also part of the life skills.
Do you mean setting up the agreement or
Teaching them to do
to learn the decision-making skills? Yes, that's,
them how, as well as it'll help set up an agreement. If they need something more formal than just a verbal between mom and dad or a verbal between the neighbor friends, that they want it in writing so it spells out who's doing what, they can help do that.
yeah. That's a great resource because the biggest thing we have found is teaching the person with a disability decision-making skills and starting from a young age. But if they're older or an adult already, that's all right. Start where they're at. But that's good to know that you can get life skills and assistance with filling out the agreement. We have toolkits I want to mention, by the way. I forgot to bring a couple with me, but at the BPDD table, we have all kinds of supported decision-making toolkits. All of this information, including that actual visual, is in that toolkit. It includes the actual agreement, what it would look like. And it's a bit of a workbook too, so you can work with the person who might need this agreement and kind of think things through. It'll like say, I can do these things on my own, or I could use help with this. So it helps you sort of think through before you write the actual agreement. So I encourage you to pick one of those up before you go. We should have plenty of those. Any other questions? I thought I saw one in the back. Yeah, Lauren. Okay. It depends what you have set up. Like, do you have the power of attorney set up that gives him that power? then yes. Whoever you named to do that if you were incapacitated, sounds like it's your dad. If it's a power of attorney, it's probably only if you're incapacitated. If you want help with other decisions, that the supported decision-making would be, an agreement would be a good one to do. Because it'll give them a little bit more authority, but it won't take away your rights. So that would be a good example of what to do if it's not involving, you know, like an emergency situation or being incapacitated. Or you could just talk to them. If you just want advice, or, you know, I'm going into an appointment, what should I ask? If it's stuff like that, you don't need an agreement for that, but makes sense. All right, so we're gonna switch over to the panel. We're gonna ask questions of Jordan Jr. and Will. I would like to get Junior on the screen now. So the first question is, we just wanted you to tell us a little more about yourself than your initial introduction. Junior, you've kind of already done that. You gave your big introduction and why you chose to use supported decision making. So we're going to have Will and
Well, so my name is Will, as I said before. I work at Hy-Vee, a grocery store in Oregon, Wisconsin. I work with other people that drive me there to take me there because I don't have my license right now. So I have people that help me there at work to drive me there, help me with my tasks. Usually it's kind of just emotional support, kind of to make me feel good. It's not like, because I know how to work. I mean, it's not that hard. I also worked at a golf course in the summertime. Now, because it's closing because of, it's like a seasonal thing. So when the ground gets cold and all that stuff. And I make my own decisions on my own. So.
Well, I kind of do a lot of disability advocacy work, but I also have a full-time job at my local clinic. I participated in Project Search. I see there's some Project Search students here today, and I'm so grateful that you guys could come, because that was one of my decisions that I made when I went out of high school, because I wanted to have the freedom to get a job. I wanted, because I also have a twin brother that goes to UW Stevens Point. It's a college in my, like 30 minutes outside of my hometown. But anyways, I wanted to get some job experience. I didn't know what, because I love the disability advocacy realm of things. And I was also a SARDAC fellow a couple years ago with Jenny. And I see there's Max. I know Max from a couple of our Zoom calls. So he had a great presentation this morning. But anyways, I've been just doing a lot of disability work and trying to get my name out there. And this is my go-to passion, because as I stated before, because without this conference, without one of my high school teachers recommending me that I go here, it was COVID at the time, so thank goodness it was virtual, because I kind of struggle with transportation like everybody else. But I'm just happy that there was an option for me to do that, and now I'm on so many different things, and I love getting to network with people and just growing my surroundings. So I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but I appreciate you all being here today.
Thank you, George. And I think we have time. Do you want to explain what the SARTAC Fellowship is? Because there could be some really good candidates in this room.
So it's basically, and Max, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically, because I know he's doing a session tomorrow, in the afternoon sometime, but I did a SARTEC grant on getting durable medical equipment, and you see my wheelchair now. This can actually stand, and I know that there's a couple wheelchair users in here that have the same wheelchair, but I didn't know about durable medical equipment because it's so hard to get people to replace and repair your chair and go through the insurance side of things. So I basically worked with many different legislators, and I'm still to this day, because the SARTEC grant, it's not over, even though my time is done with them, I'm still doing work on the side as well as I'm doing this work. So it's just important that people that are in my situation have the equipment that they need, and it's kind of difficult to get people to repair our equipment. So I was hoping to create like a crash course for like wheelchair repairman and just people with durable medical equipment to kind of do that realm of things, and that was kind of my SARTEC grants that I did in 2022. I can't believe it's already been 2 years already, but it's just so grateful because I just started kind of going back on supported decision making. I kind of did this work, and as many of you know probably, because once you open one door, another door opens. And with this opportunity that I'm doing with supported decision making, I got recognized nationally this year in Washington, D.C., called the April Dunn Equal Opportunity Award. The National Developmental Disabilities Council in Wisconsin, Jenny Newgart nominated me for this award, and the board did, so I really appreciate that. But with all that, it's given me so many different projects to work on, and I have a hard time saying no to things, even though I'm working a 40-hour week job, and I really struggle saying no to things. So
He'll never say no to me. And the cool thing about the SARTAC Fellowship, it's 1 year. You get $5,000 to work on your project. You get support. You have, I don't know if it's always 6, but I think it was 6 with
yeah,
the year you went through it. You
it's
hear what the
6.
other people are doing.
And I just got an email, and they are looking to start a working group, so other SARTEC people from other years can hop on Zoom calls, and I kind of advocated for that because I just want to keep in touch with different SARTEC people, and kind of like what People First Wisconsin does. They kind of have like monthly check-ins, and I don't know about you guys, but I live in a pretty small town, so I'm kind of the minority. But when I come here, I feel like I'm just one of you guys. So that's why I really like to come here to see everybody like me. So
That's awesome. All right, okay, that was a bit of a tangent, but we had to take the opportunity because there's so many self-advocates in the room. Okay. So Junior, I'm going to have you go next. When was the first time you remember having a conversation with either your school or your parents about this, about guardianship and or supported decision making, and how did that go for you?
My parents and I went to a conference called Yeepy when I was a freshman in high school. We learned about supported decision making there. My mom did research on her own. She also took training webinars about decision making agreement. Then, as a family, we started learning more about it and decided to use it. We decided we wanted to try a less restrictive option where I was able to keep my rights and have the opportunity to learn how to make my own decisions independently with the support of my parents.
That's great. So that's a good example where your mom heard about it, you and your mom, and brought it to the school. Okay, Will, how about you?
I started making decisions early. I attended school meetings. Started, wait, oh, I started in kindergarten. Wow, I don't even remember that.
I do, I had to come.
You did?
Yeah, I was there for some reason. Continue.
My IEP meeting in third grade until I graduated. So I started when I was in third grade until I graduated. We had we had to teach some of the teachers how to make this happen. We started with a small things like me being the host. Me being the host of the meeting. Should I keep going on? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Of the meeting, wait, introducing who I was there to everyone. We also worked with a template so we could make the agency agendas and know what was happening. We asked for help. We asked for help from older self advocates and their parents for tips in working with teams and people in the community. Yeah.
So there's a couple good nuggets in there with attending your IEP. I know Will's mom pretty well now, and she's always been ahead of her time that Will was going to be included. So I believe you. You were there from day one, and your sister, your poor sister. But I like how you talk about, starting off with, maybe just an intro, and then eventually setting an agenda for yourself to make it a little easier to do the meeting. So, it comes in steps. You don't just start leading your IEP the first one you go to. And then, did you share the story about didn't you say that at your school, every student gets a letter at like 17 and a half years of age or something that says your child's about to turn 18?
Yes, I remember that. When I was 17, I got a letter. I think it was like talking about It was guardianship. The 18 to 21 program that one of the teachers wanted me to attend. I told them no, I didn't really want to do that because I just wanted to I just wanted to get out there in life. I'm done. I just want to get out of school. So there was that letter though. So that,
They asked if you wanted to be part of,
part of the 18 to
there was
21
the
program.
guardianship conversation, and then there was the 18 to 21 school program, the extended school, yeah. And it was
So, yeah, and it sounds like it was a letter that was triggered by your age. And it was a standard letter that everybody got that, it's time to talk about guardianship. It's time to talk about staying in school until you're 21. And as I recall your mom telling the story, she talked to the teacher very nicely and said, "Did you know there is another option and you should not send this letter anymore to parents unless it also includes supported decision making?" Which I do believe she made some strides in. But that's part of what it's going to take is from the parent side too, pushing the envelope a little bit. So I always appreciate your mom for that. I was trying to be nice. Ramsey.
My name is Ramsey. Thanks for having this. And hello to the people online. And hello to those who can't be here. But this was supportive decision making as I understand it would also be appropriate for people that may not have families that may need support in making their decisions. So if you have a supporter you want to help make your decisions, you can do some parts of the supportive decision making. Am I correct on that? Yeah, yeah, because I'm new to it myself. Imagine that, a veteran advocate learning something. It's something we all do every day, and sometimes people need more help than others, but it doesn't mean we need guardianship. But it's especially true in my case because I have a master's degree, but I want to maintain my own guardianship, so my plan is to get some of this wonderful things in place that would be helpful for people that may not have other resources. Thank you. Thank you, Ramsey, and thank you for being such a wonderful advocate. You can, what is it, about, when did you get IEP meeting?
Yeah, like the first time you remember talking about, well, that's kind of part of the story you shared.
Yeah, it's kind of about what I shared, but I do recommend that if there's any teachers in the room or anything, or if you can go back to talk to your fellow colleagues about teaching, I would recommend maybe junior high and kind of like Will said, start at an early age to kind of build that camaraderie with your students. And I mean, I'm not pushing supported decision making because it isn't for everybody, but you gotta know the right people for it. But I'm just trying to make sure people are aware of it so they're not in the same situation I was, literally at the 11th hour and having to go in front of a judge because that wasn't the most fun experience ever.
And fortunately, you had parents that listened to you and were like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. So yeah, literally the day before, like, it's incredible story. So it sounds like, we have a parent who brought it to the school, a self-advocate who heard about it, and then your mom letting the teachers know about it. Let's put it that way. So think about growing up. We've talked a lot about the importance of making your own decisions and having those opportunities, and especially making more and more difficult decisions as you grow up. What do you remember about making decisions when you were growing up? Junior, do you want to take that one first?
Okay. Yes. Okay, before I turned 18, I knew if I was going to start making my own decisions and I would need help from my parents. When I was younger, my parents used to choose what I was going to wear the next day. But now that I'm older, I get to shop my own clothes based on what I really like. Another example is I get to keep track of all of my assignments when they are due in my calendar that's in my Time Tree app on my phone. When I was in high school, I made the decision in my freshman year that I wanted to be a student basketball manager for the West Dallas Central Bulldogs. At first, when I told my parents that I wanted to be part of the basketball team, they were in disbelief because being the student manager for the boys basketball team takes a big responsibility, commitment, and dedication to be in the position. I demonstrated to my parents that I was capable of handling this position on my own for the last 4 years in high school by attending the games early and being responsible for my schoolwork. After finishing high school, I wanted to go to college to be a sports broadcaster. I was always interested in sports and knew I wasn't going to play professionally. I decided being a sports broadcaster was a great way to find a job I was good at and I was interested in. I got experience every day in all 4 years of high school by giving the daily morning announcements that were broadcast throughout the school. I also got the announced for the Miracle League of Milwaukee during baseball games in the summer. After volunteering at sporting events and participating in school clubs that related to my interests, I decided that I wanted to go to college and study journalism. My dream is to become a sports broadcaster. I researched my options for schools and I found out that MATC didn't have a journalism career, so I applied to UW Milwaukee and got accepted. In my first college semester, my mom helped me figure out my disability accommodations, and the second semester of college, I did on my own, and I was able to express my needs. Now I'm in my sophomore year, and I'm able to choose my courses and my disability accommodations according to my needs. With this agreement, I'm able to make mistakes and learn from them to better prepare myself for important decisions for the future. Thanks to this agreement, I have the ability to make decisions on whether I want to get married, buy a house, learn how to drive, etc.
Excellent. So lots of examples there of you saying, I want to try these things, and then being a little nervous, but okay, we're going to let you do that. In fact, I think you even started working with the Civic Project because you wanted that experience presenting to groups just to keep sharpening your skills for your future career, which is awesome. All right, Will.
When I became a teenager, I started talking about getting my license. This took me a lot of research. I researched it a lot. I had to take an assignment to see what it was assessment to see if it was possible. I'm still working to get my license, which I don't like to say sometimes. I get scared to say it sometimes, but it's okay. I choose I choose to see my therapist. I used to have a therapist.
You also chose to stop. No, that's true.
Yeah, I stopped seeing my therapist in middle school, in high school. I had relationships and they were kind of hard. So it was, that's kind of why I had a therapist when I was younger. So,
That's a really big decision to make, to start and or stop seeing a therapist. So that was good. You were allowed the freedom to make that decision. Jordan.
So, I, when I was, my middle and, high school careers, I had a teacher that's still very close to me to this day, and I still do Facebook Lives with him every now and again, because we do a lot of things at the school for us, because I only live about 5 minutes from my school. But my senior year, I really loved my senior year because I kind of got out of the special ed room, and I that same teacher that kind of forced me, kind of wanted me to go to this conference because she saw that I had a passion for this type of things. She kind of got me out, and I got to do classes with my peers, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like I really learned a lot my senior year, and also my senior year, the last hour of the day, I got to work with DVR, working in my school setting. So one day a week it was working in the office. One day a week it was working with my guidance teacher, doing stuff throughout the a week, doing different tasks around the school, and I really feel like it prepared me for Project Search, and Project Search prepared me for my job, and this is preparing me for how many other things. So it all blends together, and you just have to have many different things to try out to see what you like and dislike, because everybody's allowed to see what they like and dislike about stuff.
Good. So I see we're getting close to time here. We have a couple more questions, but does anybody here have a question they would like to ask any of the panelists?
Don't be shy.
You do.
This is one of my favorite questions that they get asked, so I thought I would ask it. What was something that your supporters wanted you to do that you decided not to do?
No, she did not tell me to buy a pink couch. Oh, yeah, to like to make you happy, you say?
Do you not remember this?
No, I do not.
Okay, there are a couple of William's friends that I am not a huge fan of. I don't love the way that they behave. But William has a great time with them, and he really enjoys seeing them and playing basketball with them and doing things with them. So he looked at me and said, I don't want to not hang out with these people just because you say I shouldn't, so I'm going to, and left the house and went and played basketball and came back after having a great time. And I was like, okay, fine, I was wrong, but I was advising you the best I knew how.
Do you remember that now?
Yes.
That's a good example of saying no. Awesome. Well, we can do one, but we have a technology question that we ask, because the technology we have now makes things so much easier, things that people were afraid of. The last time we did this, a mom talked about his medication, and it was mostly, how is he going to divide it up? Like, he remembers to take it. I'm like, well, you can now actually have a service, put them in prepackaged, packages for you, AM, PM, whatever it is, and you just have to grab it. So as long as it's not, I keep forgetting to take it, that takes that problem off your plate. So we thought we might have some other examples of technology that students have used to help them be more independent. Junior, how about you? Some tools and technology.
Okay. Before my first semester of college, I took a college class while I was in high school to help me prepare myself for my transition as a full-time student. That class helped me know what things I had to continue working on in order for me to be successful when I start college. Additionally, I took a 4-week summer program that helped me get familiar with the environment and the workload of the assignments. I also learned how to correctly and effectively create a time management plan that continues to help me now. The challenging aspects of college for me was being able to take notes while trying to listen and engage in class and how fast-paced classes were. The workload differences from high school to college was also something I had to get used to, but was able to manage with my accommodations. For example, I use a smart pen for taking notes. I use the preferred seated to stay focused on and have less distractions, and I take exams in a quiet environment. And I use the Time Tree app that keeps track of events that I can share with my family.
Awesome, thank you. Will?
I know this one. I use a card called Greenlight. I use the card to help me manage my money and help me from like when I do work, it goes right to Greenlight, which is just like a place that you can like put money and you can save money. How is like a debit card too. Yeah, it's like a debit card. And it manages your money really well, and I think it's a really good option to use, and I think more people should use it because it's, and you can see your purchases.
I would like to say I first learned about Greenlight from Will, and now I have it set up for my kids' allowance, goes on a Greenlight card. It comes out of my bank account directly. I don't have to think about it, never have to do anything. And it's automatically set up that like $7 goes, you can spend, 2 go into savings and 1 goes to charity. My son's is big and my daughter's is a little account. Guess who's the spender and who's the saver? Yes.
Junior, can I ask what your summer program was that helped you with college?
You might
Oh, Junior, what was the summer program that helped you with college? Like, what was it called?
The trio support.
Tree of Support? Was that through the college itself?
Sorry, I said the trio student support.
Trio Student Support, okay.
TRIO.
Yeah, through UW Milwaukee.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, our school, when they said it's time to put money on your account for your kids to go through the lunch line and stuff, had introduced Greenlight to us as well. It is school supported to be able to buy stuff in like the middle school, high school area. So if students are older and they're working, or they want to take their allowance and they want to buy in-school things, they can, buy extra pencils or the
Oh, wow.
and all the swag that's at the school commissary.
Oh, very cool. So she said her school is set up with Greenlight, that kids can purchase items from the school itself with Greenlight. That's awesome. Yeah, if you haven't heard of it, I would encourage you to check it out. It's a very nice way, and you can limit it, like, so they can only spend $100 at a time or whatever amount you want to get used to, making sure they don't blow like $500 in one shopping spree. And then real quick, we're just past time, but
So I use a variety of things. I use cameras if I'm home alone. So if my mom and dad want to run something, or I can just go up by it and motion detect. And I also have I can easily access a door opener. I have a door opener that's right by the entrance of my house, and I have one outside and one inside. So if there's a fire and a whole bunch more things that I use. But we're out of time, but I appreciate you guys coming here, and please don't be afraid if you have questions that you need asked, or if you want to follow me at the conference, just please feel free to let me know how I can best support you guys.
Yeah, don't forget to pick up those resources. And remember, whatever you do does not have to take place at the age of 18. You can do guardianship anytime. You can do supported decision making. So don't let anyone pressure you like they're turning 18. This has to be in place. Not true. All right. Thank you all. We appreciate your interest. And again, let us know if you have any questions. And don't forget to pick up that toolkit at our table. Thank you.